Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Thank the distinguished gentleman, the ranking member, Mr. Pallone, for yielding and for his leadership on this issue. I also thank Congressman Latta, as well as Chairman Greg Walden and my colleagues, Chris Collins, Trey Gowdy, and G.K. Butterfield, who all were sponsors of this legislation. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of H.R. 449, the Synthetic Drug Awareness Act. H.R. 449 addresses a critical and sometimes overlooked threat, the use of synthetic drugs by teenagers. It requires the Surgeon General to prepare a report on the public health effects of synthetic drug use by individuals aged 12 to 18 throughout America. With the information this study will provide, Congress can work to prevent substance abuse by younger Americans through an enhanced and enlightened lens. The opioid crisis has ravaged families across the country without regard to zip code, income, race, religion, or gender. Unfortunately, this public health emergency is now taking hold in invidious ways of our nation's young people. Throughout the country, the drug overdose death rate has more than doubled during the past decade amongst younger Americans. This troubling phenomenon in part results from the rise and availability of potent and dangerous substances like illicit fentanyl and synthetic marijuana, drugs that fall within the category covered by this legislation. Fentanyl, for instance, can be 50 to 100 times stronger than opioids, heroin, or morphine. Teenage fentanyl use, for instance, is a vicious cycle. Adolescents have a still developing prefrontal cortex, which can facilitate drug-seeking behavior. The drug then alters the development of this area of the brain, making that behavior permanent. The majority of adults who develop a substance abuse disorder or addiction begin using before they are 18 years old. In order to address the multifaceted public health crisis that the opioid epidemic represents, we must consider both the cause and the effect. Advancing this legislation has been a collaborative process, and I greatly appreciate the hard work of all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle. I encourage my colleagues to support H.R. 449, and I yield back.